All right, so let's get this show on the road. I will now join back into the call where everyone's at.
It's really whatever.
All
I
right,
don't really
hello
care either.
guys. Is everyone here? Edward, Lost Nuke,
Yes.
Uni? Okay,
Hello.
so we are now live. First of all, thank you for joining me for the debate that we're going to have about Uniserverism. So, just a little bit of context before we get started about what exactly Uniserverism is. Just so everyone watching the video, either currently or in post, what they need to know about it and what the actual rule is, and so everyone's on the right track and we're actually debating the right thing. We are talking about the uh, Uniserverism rule established by the rules of the community. To be precise, it's actually the section of it that specifies that during annexation, aka when a server joins the frauding community, that is one of the things that the leaders need to agree to, that there is going to have to be a certain period of time while they integrate themselves and while they do everything, while we get everything set up with them, that they know that in the future, their members will not be able to join other fraudulent servers, and vice versa. Other members of other fraudulent servers cannot join their server. So that's what the rules of the community establish. Uh, there is ways around it though. There is the save pass, which is permission to go from one server to another, and there is our transferences, whereas when one person leaves their home server and transfers to a different server. So those are the rules we all know and love. And if you guys want, you guys can go ahead and pull out the rules of the community right now. You guys should have the link everywhere. And if you guys are looking at home, I'll be posting the link in. Well, everyone's at home right now because of COVID. But I will be posting it in the chat for everyone to kind of see what the rules of the community are. If you guys have not seen it until now, or if it's not posted in your server, it still is quite important that you guys read it just so you guys know what we're working with here. Okay, so we are going to start with the debate through Uni, who was the person who did bring the topic up in Congress. So it's only fair that he is the first person that gets to talk here, bring out his points. The way this will work is quite simple. Uni will be asked to speak, so then he'll say his comments, whatever he wants to say about the topic, whatever anyone wants to comment will happen later. I'll be like, okay, who wants to comment on this? Who wants to ask questions? We'll go like that. It'll just naturally go along, and then we'll go to the next person, and so on and so forth. If I have any comments myself, I'll just hold mine until the very end. Okay, so Uni, let's start with you. What are your comments, arguments for or against Uniserverism?
So I think that uniserverism has served its purpose um, at the beginning, since obviously our circumstances are vastly different than what they were before. You had a lot more people back then. Now we don't have as many people, and along with that, after AP was made into a colony, the what you call it, our niche is basically diversified, basically. So uniserverism, I don't think we need it anymore. I think because of uniserverism, we are less of a community than say someone does not have uniserverism. That's because we're basic. What we're doing basically is we're just a bunch of servers under one name that follow an extra set of rules. That's literally it. And then you might say like, but we have global chat. But we know that global chat was kind of a flop. It was just a random chat, you know. But as some of my members have said, it's a bunch of clutter, you know. And to have six or seven servers all, and the people all crammed into one channel, that's not gonna work out. It's not, and we've seen it firsthand. It's just it doesn't work out as intended. Whereas if we had removed uniserverism and we let people join different servers, like again, a channel versus an entire server, completely different. They are not comparable by any means. which is why I think uniserverism should be removed so that we can be more connected, more of a community. That's not to say, oh, give up your members, let's all funnel into one server. No, let's give the members options. Because either way, no matter which server they go between us, they're still part of the Fraudian community. We should start seeing it more like that instead of, oh, this is, Arctic Pike's members and they're going into Xrovia, or Xrovia is going to Arctic Pike. No, we're part of the same community. I think with uniserverism, I think we kind of forgot that we're all one, entity at the end of the day. You know, and if you don't like that idea, then why are you here? Why did you agree to, being a colony or a region or whatever, you know, when you're not willing to make, simple sacrifices. And I'm not asking for like, oh, we need to change every, like, no, it's super simple to implement. And the way I think it should be implemented is we at least everyone should have a singular channel in their server, named like Fraudian Community or whatever, and in there should be a document that Fraud has made, literally called Fraudian Community, and it gives a rundown of the whole community, right? In that same channel, we should have a link with like a little description to each one of our servers, and then let the people choose. Oh, you know what? I kind of like this. I want to see what they have. Let's say someone wants to go to a Minecraft server. They might look at Caveton or Xrovia, and I know you're probably thinking like, oh, but they're both quite similar. They're won't one just go to the biggest one? Like, there is the possibility of that happening, but you have to understand that you're trying to say that everyone in one server is gonna server jump basically, and that simply is not the case. Like, the odds of that happening is so unlikely. You shouldn't even be considering it as an option. And on top of that, it should prompt both of the servers to try and differentiate themselves, basically making them even more individualized than when you actually had uniserverism. You know, so for example, say Xrovia is hosting some sort of event, right? Caveton's like, oh snap, and some of the members are going over there to check it out. They're still in Caveton, by the way, but they are also in Xrovia, and Xrovia is having an event, so they want to partake in that. That's how our members would basically, you know, again, enhancing the fact that we are in fact a community. Now, what happens to Caveton? Do they lose those members? Is it gone? No, they're still there, right? But now Caveton has to actually compete. And competing with each other isn't a bad thing. People are, some people are saying, like, oh, that's bad. We don't want to compete with each other. We want to compete with everyone else. When in fact, we already are competing with each other. Just uniserverism makes us blind to see that, because nothing stops someone from being like, you know what, I don't like Caveton anymore. I'm just gonna go to a different server. I'm gonna go check on something else. And they leave, right? And they go to a different ad server. And you know what they see? Xrovia. Oh, look at that. They got more members. They have, oh, what? They're hosting an event. I think I want to join that one. Little do they know that it's all under the same community. You know, and that should lead into another point. Not almost all members, as far as I'm concerned, most of the members don't even know about the community. I've literally had, right now, I had a Paxton of mine. He put this. And I quote, I'm gonna put my words in because what the hell. But I didn't get the whole uniserverism or Fraudian thingy to begin with. I get it's supposed to be a community of servers, but I don't even know what those servers are, how they even link, and what's the benefit of having all this. I didn't even know it was a thing when I first joined the server, and a while after that. In short, I don't see the whole community part of this. I'm not bashing the server, by the way. I have no problems with it, but I'm just hella confused. And to be honest, it just feels like its own server rather than it being part of some big thing. Okay, this is someone else's words. This is a member's words. Okay, and if a member, right, a member, when not the leaders or anything, if a member is saying this, this should tell you enough that we're not doing something right. For the 7 years that Frani community has been up, we're not doing something right. We're sitting at what, 1,000 members, if we're being generous, you know, between 7 servers, and yet you still have people like this, like what I've just said, who don't even know about the other server, and that's a really big problem. That's a really big problem. That's more of a problem than you should anticipate. Because just imagine that. Let's change it up a little bit. Let's in terms of countries, right? That's like having New Yorkers and Floridians, and the New Yorkers have no clue. They know they're part of the United States, right? Some of the people know in New York they're part of the United States. However, they don't know that Florida exists. They don't know about all these other places they could go explore. And because of that, you're settled with one. And that's just it's not gonna work out. How can you be like, oh yeah, we're part of the United States. In this case, oh yeah, we're part of the frauding community. When all you are in is one small part. You know what I mean? It's just that's not how community should run. That's not how community should work. And on top of that, I know someone has stated, oh, but you've changed your mind like on the flip of a dime. No, I didn't change my mind. I just never cared to change it. I was complacent. And because um, now that, a couple of my members have shown, like, you know what, they're interested. They're actually interested in finding out, like, what's going on. What's all this? What's the frauding community and stuff like that. We should not punish, in my opinion. We should really go ahead and actually embrace that, because if some of my members, the ones that people, um the ones that other leaders have said, like, oh, they're not interested because of global chat and stuff like that. Well, if if my members are saying, like, oh, I want to know more about what's going on with these other servers, right? Then what's to say that in all the other servers besides Arctic also has members that think that way, who would be interested? And overall, that I think that would be beneficial for everyone. Well, that's all I have to say for now. You guys can talk.
Okay, that has been Uni from Arctic Pikes. Little bit of history for those of you who are not from Arctic Pikes or may be from other servers. Arctic Pikes is a Fraudian community colony joined in 2018. It is currently the oldest continuous server in the community. If we count its previous servers, that means that it's been under one name and under basically the same leadership ever since then. Uh, so just a little bit of history for those of you who didn't know. Lost Nuke can't make any comments right now. He said so in VC. Edward, do you have any comments or questions to Uni?
Nah, not yet. I just want to hear your rebuttal, and I'm just gonna let you go back and forth for a bit, and then I'm gonna give my opinion.
Understood. That was Edward from Extrovia, and for those of you who didn't know, currently it is the leading server in the community in terms of activity, and well, in various other aspects. Honestly, it is doing quite well. It was formed after Gaming Goodies, which was a previous server in the community. Its leader, Gamerman for Reals. Some of you may know him, some of you may not. He resigned from his post for various reasons. Edward took over, and Extrovia became well, now the leading server in the community. Okay, so in my case, for those of you who don't know, I am Frat Movie. I am president of the community, but I am also governor of Caveton at the same time. My representative is, ironically enough, Gamerman for Reals, because he is part of Caveton now. And I do have some comments and one question for Uni. So, one of the main points that you did say, and I question unequivocally, was the point of options. Now, I'm pretty sure you meant to refer to options as in what servers a particular member could join. And that's not the aspect necessarily being limited here. Sure, people are allowed to join any server that they want. The one caveat is it just can't be another Fraudian server, if you get what I'm saying. Now, I understand where it might seem counterintuitive, and I'll get to that point. But then you also mentioned global chat and a bunch of other topics that aren't 100% adherent to the topic, so I'll just touch on those briefly. Global chat, the original version that you got, I will admit, had a lot of flaws, but it was the best thing we had in a system of Uniserverism, in a system where we have to stay in our own servers for reasons that I'll get to eventually. It's the best compromise. However, thanks to the advancements that Lost Nuke has made, uh, server global chat now has multiple channels. So before, yes, it was a clusterfuck. It was only one channel for all of us. Not all of us want to talk about the same thing. That is completely fair. However, thanks to the new update, now there can be multiple channels. So there can be that chaotic general chat, which some people like. And then we can have the historic chat, which is the next chat that is actually being implemented between Kate and Extrovia, which will be talking about the history of each servers. As a matter of fact, Packerfan Gamer, Bazin from Extrovia, and Edward from Extrovia have taken it upon themselves to form the Fraudian Historical Society, which would essentially be a sort of ministry of culture, which is focusing on recollecting both classical Fraudian history, that means the history from way back in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, up until 2017, when the modern era can begin with the whole Discord shenanigans that we got up to later, and that includes Arctic Pike's history. So it's, I can see where you're coming from, where before, where it was chaotic, it was the best thing we had at that point, plus there was lacking security and whatnot. That was all fixed, and that is now much, much better. Now, you mentioned also that some members did not know that it was that they were part of the community and that there was these rules and so on and so forth. I don't mean to be cynical, and I do not mean to necessarily attack you in any way, but it's an obvious choice for the leaders to choose how integrated they want their server to be in the fronting community. I'll give everyone a bit of a history lesson. In 2018, when Uni was first becoming a colony and was first becoming integrated into the community, he has his reservations, which, by the way, I have to give Uni props for everything that he does as leader of Arctic Pikes. He is an amazing leader. He is very protective. He cares about Arctic Pikes far more than I think most of your members will actually realize that you do. Which is why originally, when he first came into the community, he was a bit hesitant to just fully integrate all at once. He wanted to take it with patience and serenity and everything almost, I would say, at an arm's length. It is up to each leader to educate their members, so to speak, about what the community is. That was the original plan and intention, although it is not specifically stated in the rules of the community or in the terms of annexation. It is made very obvious that you can choose how integrated you want your server to be in the fronting community, which is why we give people options when they join. If you want full integration and you are compatible with that because you're Minecraft driven, you can be a region. The fullest integration possible. Next level, colony. Meaning that, you know what, your server's a bit different, but you still want to enjoy the benefits of being in the community. So you can become a colony, basically the same thing now, not the case back then, mind you. And even then, as a colony, you could say, hey, proudly, we are Fraudian, kind of like how Meltdown was, but for the wrong reasons. And, uh, or you could be like Arctic Pikes and only absorb things from the Fraudian community, such as the word Paxian, which was formed after the annexation into the Fraudian community. That was a Fraudian thing. The coin idea for the pikes, that was also a Fraudian idea that was implemented in a different way in Arctic Pike. So the influence is there to see. As a matter of fact, Paxians have a lot more in common with classical Fraudians than basically the rest of the community. It's just that they don't know about it. And ultimately, who is responsible for that knowledge? That would inevitably be you. So saying that they didn't know this or they didn't know that is half and half your responsibility and half my responsibility. If you didn't want me to post classical things like YouTube videos that are historic almost in the sense that they show the fighting community's history, that was on you. If you don't want me to post messages to the community in Arctic Pikes, that is again fully up to you. And ultimately, if you don't tell your members, hey, we're part of the community, that's completely fine. I'm not offended by the fact that some Fraudians don't know that they're Fraudians, because not every server necessarily needs to. So the whole education thing, I'll grant you that there is a severe lack of understanding about what the community is, what's it for, etc. That is, without a doubt, the biggest problem in the whole community. Something that my administration is trying to tackle, but the only way we can tackle it with the current system, mind you, with Uniserverism in place, which I will explain why it's so important in a minute, um, can only be done through global chat, which initially, mind you, you were hesitant to put in Arctic Pikes because you know we were kind of suspicious about the idea. I finally did it, granted without your permission, which I don't think you very much appreciated, and I did apologize for that. But then, when this whole shebang happened about some asshole putting a bunch of things in global chat that they should not have to, we took the bot down. We apologized, and as soon as the new version was available, I offered you it. And as a matter of fact, we can look in our DMs. I sent you the fact that there is now a chat for maturity, only for mature talk, which is basically begging to be called the Arctic Pikes chat. And it was still denied. It was not put up for vote. And the only thing I put up was one debate, which it didn't garner much attention because the global chat in Arctic Pikes, unlike in Extrovia or in Caveton, is an optional chat. You can opt into it. And that's your choice again, a choice that I think that should be in place, mind you. A leader should be able to choose what he wants his members to access. But then you can't go back on yourself and say, hey, my members didn't know about this. That was your choice. That was your choice to not let them know, or at least, you know, basically be like, all right, if they find out, great. They don't need to. Personally, that was my view of it, right? My members don't necessarily need to know about the fronting community, but me being the president and all kind of leads my members into caring either way. Plus, my server just so happens to hold the oldest members of the community. Uh, Edward likes to joke around that they're like the retirement home of the community. So yeah. So now let me actually get to the meat of the problem here, which is the uniserverism. Uniserverism, I think, is misunderstood in various aspects because we have to focus ourselves and ask, what the heck is this whole community about? And Uni, I know you know that, so I'm just gonna go ahead and give a brief explanation to everybody, a brief reminder, and then we'll move on from there. The Friday community currently is a network of Discord servers. That's what it is right now. And if people have been looking at the rules of the community that I posted, among the first things that it says, one of our first things is the primary goals of the community, Article 1.4. It says the community's primary goal is to aid and protect our members as well as expand their opportunities. This is all again relevant to however their leader wants to implement that in their respective servers, mind you. But our goal has always been to aid and protect our members, protect our history as Fraudians. Of course, again, dependent to each server. If Arctic Pikes wants to remember what happened in their server, how they were founded, that's completely fine. They don't need to know the other 4 to 5 years of Fraudian history that they simply don't care about because those ideas aren't relevant, but it is written down in a document that you could post, and I think you have posted, Uni, but that's again dependent on the interest of the members. I'm not sure if you posted it or not. And then expand our organizational power and control. What that means, it means get more servers in and see what we can do with our combined power together as a community. That's our main goal. Uniserverism is a weird rule because it's a rule that goes against a member's possible wishes and intuitions for the sake of the server. You said in your argument that we should compete with each other. We do, and you're right that you also said we do compete with each other in a lot of different ways. We compete with each other particularly in making sure and seeing who is on top of who in the fighting community. How is Extrovia the top server right now? It's because their community, the way they were able to build using our model, the new model, which I will get to, which is an interesting point once again, is phenomenal. You and a bunch of other people argue, Uni, that why is it that I go to the trouble of establishing activity rates and theories and all this stuff? That's because for the fighting community, and that was made very obvious to you the moment that you joined, we don't care about member numbers. I don't care of 1,000 member servers. Purgatorium is the least adherent to this, by the way, which is why I'm a little mad with them. But nonetheless, we don't care about member numbers, which is why I loved Arctic Pike so much. It didn't care about member numbers. Back then, and still now, it is still a high quality community. People know each other, they care about each other, blah, 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 blah. But now Extrovia has taken that to the next level because their members talk every single day, multiple times a day. They can't get enough of each other because that's what a true community is all about. But what happens? When members are allowed, quote unquote, to be in a server together, and that leader, that member, that server leader can focus on just growing their own server like normal, like when there isn't a union involved, that's when things work how you should say they should work. Members can join whatever server they want, coding, whatever, and they can always find their home in their core server. We're going to call them their home server. For many people, that's Caveton. For many people, that's Extrovia. For many people, that's Arctic Pikes. The community multiplies that because now you have a community behind you, other servers and other people that can work with you, that can get you the protection that you need, that can get you up and running again should you ever need it, systems, advice, all the benefits that Arctic Pikes has already gotten from the community. You cannot say that they don't exist. You received them. You're the least person, I say, indicated here. You and Edward are the least indicated people here to say that there are no benefits into the community. You know the benefits that the community gives you. You've gone through it. But there is a problem because when we're a community together, we're part of the same thing. We're part of the same organization. And again, our main goal is to protect each other, not destroy each other. Going back in history, you said before when you first joined, when you kept yourself at an arm's length, that was an intuitive choice, mind you, but it ended up serving you well because what happened in 2018 that none of your members know? The biggest collapse of the frauding community since the problematic era in 2015. We went from having 15 servers to 2. 3 if you count the dying FMR. 15 servers to 2. One server was alive because that was the server I just so happened to be leading at the time, and Arctic Pikes. Why do I mean they were alive? Because they weren't dead. They weren't silent. Back then, we were all focused on numbers. We were all focused on growing. We didn't know any better. We allowed members to go between each server. What ended up happening? The best members in one server were in another server. So they became staff here, staff there, staff there, staff there, staff there. Drama in one server meant drama here, drama there, drama here, drama there, drama here, drama there. Problems that happen in one server become giant waves in the other servers because those members might hold different roles within those other servers. Let's presume, or let's make an example here. Let's say Super Robo Wizard, one of your members, who is in Arctic Pikes, there is no Uniserverism, joins Caveton. He gets into an issue with a member in Edward's server, but because there's no Uniserverism, and Extrovia has much more members than AP does, now what happens? Maybe you get into a fight with Edward. Edward gets into a fight with you. Members join sides. Now there's drama in both servers. You guys talk in my server. Now there's drama in my server as well. Problems get massified when you just allow anyone to join whatever because we're the same community. Our servers are so similar, not in the topic, but in the aspect that we're all community focused. Mind you, one rule about Uniserverism is that it does not apply to service discords, like Capitalia. Capitalia is not a community. The server that we're in right now, this is not a community. This is simply a server for governors to connect and for interested people to hop in and look at what's going on. Therefore, Uniserverism does not affect the server, which is why Packer Fan is here, which is why Bazin, before he became a governor, was here, which is why a bunch of people that have nothing to do with anything can be here. Because they are intrinsically, this server intrinsically is not a community server. It's just a service Discord. It's meant for a particular purpose. AP, on the other hand, it's not for a particular purpose. It's not offering anyone anything. It's simply a community. The only thing communities can offer to each other, to members, to possible members, are its people, are its organizational culture, as you can put it. In AP, people are mature, they're like this or like that. In Extrovia, they're quirky, they like anime, whatever. In HWS, they like anime and hentai a little way too much. In Purgatorium, they like horror movies a lot, you know. But even still, members can still visit one server or another. You set options. The community has options. You want to join Caveton? An Arctic Pikes member wants to join Caveton? I'm all ears. Have them join. How? Through a safe pass. Me and Edward have made exchanges this whole time. Edward, one of Edward's members, is actually a moderator in my server under safe pass. That member knows that in 10 days' time he will have to leave Caveton and go back to Extrovia. Maybe he wants to move to Caveton permanently, maybe, but that's as good of a choice, or that's a probability that can happen when you allow your members to move around like that. Why do I say any of this will happen? I can hear you now. Fraught, what's the guarantee? First of all, we've seen it happen. But your members can also testify. Anyone can testify. On Discord, you say you can be active in one server. I mean, you can be active in more than one server. That's true, but you can't be active in one server at the same time. You can be active in servers consecutively, but there's no way you can actually chat in both servers at the same precise time. Why is Extrovia so active? Because Extrovia is attractive to those members, they love it, whatever. All the time that they spend in Extrovia is time not spent in other servers. And vice versa. Members who are active, that you have the little green bubble right there, they're online. They're probably chatting it up somewhere else. They're not spending time in your server. That's why we focus on activity so much. Because activity, although not the only indicator, is one of the primary indicators to see how healthy a community is. It lets me know, hey, your server is active, therefore people are chatting in it. That it could mean that those members are chatting with each other, are getting to know each other, are starting to like each other, whatever. They're forming relationships with each other, which is what Extrovia was able to accomplish and what Caveton is accomplishing after a lot of turbulence, mind you. Arctic Pikes knew this too. You were the main benefactor of Uniserverism and you didn't even know it. Because while the rest of the community in 2018 was collapsing and going to hell, Arctic Pikes was the one server that did not fall. There was no drama in it, unlike every other server. There was no hostile members in it, unlike every other server. There was nothing in it. Under that aspect, being a community and allowing members to just join whatever is a real issue. And that's one of the main reasons why that rule was in place to begin with. Ever since the rule has been in place, servers have been growing independently from each other, true, but they have been growing under the same model, the same ideas, supposedly, more and with varying degrees of success, depending on the adherence of the members. Who are the most successful servers right now? The members, or the servers, sorry, that have followed the model strictly. Extrovia was the one to follow the model, the strictest of them all. Edward has put a freaking blood, sweat, and tears into that server, and I know that for a damn fact. You as well. you deviated from the model a little bit. Me as well, and I'm trying to be more like Edward right now. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Caveton is getting to Extrovia's level in the sense of we're forming a community and stabilizing it and actually doing things right. Extrovia has been doing this for a long ass time. Arctic Pact is doing it okay. Who are always the people at the bottom of the list? Alpha Lounge, not following the model. HWS, not following the model. And Purgatorium, numeric growth, 600 members, about to be 700, excellent growth. Their activity is lower than Extrovia, a server with around 200 members less than 200 members. So what does that tell you? It means that that server has a bunch of members, but they barely talk to each other. That's not a community to me. A community to me is where people get to know each other, blah, 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 blah. Finally, core members. Your mods, your staff, those people are valuable to your server. Sure, it's a little, how would you say that? It's a little wrong to kind of view members or anything as assets. It is wrong. But in the eyes of a community, in the eyes of a server, in the eyes of a leader, you know who your core members are. You know who your most loyal members are. You know who the people that cause trouble are. And if you lose a member that's really good, that was talkative and whatever, it's going to hurt your community. It's going to definitely hurt your community. And I'm sure it's happened to you before. Because if you remember, you lost a very talkative member, and Arctic Pike started being a little wobbly in terms of activity after that. This was long ago, mind you, but I know you've gone through this as well. So you know that there are some people in your server that you can't afford to lose. But if you're competing with me, Caveton, who is so similar to Arctic Pikes, except for in the aspect of communities, right? Like we hold our differences. They're more mature. We're quirky, whatever. You know, maybe one of your core members come here. He's not going to be as active in Arctic Pikes. He might prefer Arctic Pikes, but if he starts preferring Caveton, what are you going to do then? He's a fraudian. Partnerships in Discord, how do they work? They work by you putting a link to one server and you putting a link to another server. That's how it works. That's what a partnership is. Who ends up winning in a partnership? Usually the larger server because they're more interesting than the smaller server. Or has that not happened to you, Uni? I think we all know this is true. Some people do prefer smaller servers. Those are the people that end up joining your server. Fair. So, my point is, Uniserverism is not perfect. By no means is it perfect. It's a rule to safeguard the servers and ensure something like what happened in 2018 never happens again. It's a lesson we learned in history, and it's a lesson we learn in stats. Even right now, as we speak, currently, Extrovia and Caveton have 3 members that we share amongst each other. 4, it's about to be. My homie, Sasha, and Lost Noob. Guess what? Extrovia's daily 1,000 message average has already seen a small dip. And I'm pretty sure Edward, you can verify what I'm saying, because look at Extrovia right now. You're okay because Extrovia does have more active members, but in a server, usually, when only 3 people at most are actually really active and everyone else is just kind of along for the ride, it hurts more. Caveton, for instance, could not afford to lose that. Because in Caveton, not every member is as active. We're getting there because we're forming a community, but we're still not fully there. It takes time. That's my argument for Uniserverism. To avoid the same mistakes as the past, because there was a time before Uniserverism, and to foment the growth, the individual growth of every server in the community. If your server did not know about Uniserverism, I apologize. But that was your responsibility to begin with. questions, concerns from anybody? Uni,
No, but I have rebuttals.
do you want me to go to other people first, or do you want to say them like right now?
I think I should say them right now.
Go ahead.
That's a lot of juicy meat to dissect. So let me take it piece by piece. Starting with what you primarily talked about. You talked about how certain servers are doing better than others because of uniserverism. Uh, I don't think uniserverism is the reason why certain servers are doing better than others. It's because those servers are doing something that makes them better. For example, like say hosting events or advertising more, or overall having members in there that are active and loyal. That's what makes the server better, not uniserverism. Now, say you said uniserverism safeguards possibly collapse again, right? And you also used artifacts as an example for what happens when you have uniserverism, basically, like at its primitive state. Arctic packs did not survive that collapse because of the primitive version of uniserverism. It it stayed alive because it knew how to handle the problems. It knew how to handle. You spoke about if there's drama in one server, how it can lead into another server if uniserverism is not in place. If you know how to handle the problem correctly, aka like if you have specific rules within each other's it's kind of like it's like two states, how they have different laws, right? If one law is different than another in a different, if there's a problem in one state and they go to a different state, that law does not apply to them when they're in that other state. So for example, to put this in simpler terms, if a member of mine goes to Exrovia and they start trouble there, right, it is entirely up to the leader of Exrovia to do what they must to punish perfectly. If they're messing up and they follow a rule, for example, let's say you can't talk about chicken nuggets in Exrovia, but you can in Arctic Pack. A member of mine goes over there, they talk about chicken nuggets. You have every right to ban them, kick them, warn them, whatever it is that you want. And if my member that was kicked, banned, or whatever comes back to my server, because they're still in that one, and they have a problem with it, it's my job then to tell them, hey, stop it. That's it. That was in that server. You messed up. You cannot go back there. You have been banned. And then on top of that, the leaders can talk to each other, can communicate. Yo, this is what happened, this, that, and the other. Just because a member of mine, this is all based on how leadership is supposed to work. Just because a member of mine made a mistake or did something bad in another server does not mean the leaders need to compete with you. Doesn't mean they have to fight with each other. You've said like, oh, if there's drama here and there's drama there, then the leaders have problems and then everyone has problems. No, it's how you handle it. It's not just inevitable. Like, oh yeah, these people have problems. The leaders are gonna have problems. Everything falls. No, it's how you handle it. At the end of the day, it's just how you handle the situation at a case by case basis. There is a chance, I will agree, that there is a chance that certain members can change to different servers. They might be more active in one server than the other. But even so, again, like I've said before, you're still part of the same community. And even then, that just means we have to compete with each other. We have to, for example, a member of Arctic Pact goes to Xrovia, and because they're hosting an event, right? You know what? I think I need to change things up. You know what? I'm gonna start implementing this game. Let's start having events about this game. Let's do this. Let's talk about whatever. Maybe I need to advertise more, get more people in here so that they would come back and start talking with these new members and so forth. Competition isn't bad between each, and you're worried so much about the collapse that that's that's not really what's gonna hurt you. What's gonna hurt you is not being together. It's gonna be when things should be easier when you are together. If you're all under one community, right, they should be able to help each other, not just live under the same security or the rules. And I know how you spoke about benefits. Yes, there is benefits to being part of the community. That's speaking from a leadership perspective. We need to talk about the members. We need to talk about the members because at the end of the day, you're no leader without any followers, without any members. You're not a leader. You know, where uniserverism should not only be beneficial to the leader, it should be beneficial to the members. And if you're not thinking that way, then why is it that you are leading in the first place? A leader does not lead for themselves; they lead for other people. It's kind of like the president, for example. They're not president to be president for themselves. They're president to serve. Okay, it's the same. It's the same thing. Now, diverting from that, global chat. If you make multiple channels, you're basically making the very thing that you don't want. Because a server is basically just a bunch of chat rooms. It's a bunch of channels. If say, oh, you know what? I don't like all this clutter in this one channel, and I don't want to talk about mature stuff in mature. I want to talk about Minecraft. What, you're gonna make a Minecraft channel now? And then how long till it's just a whole bunch of different chat rooms, all connected by a bot, and then that's not taken into account if the bot fails sometimes, which completely just ruins everything. People can't talk to each other anymore. There's different, and also on top of that, it also complicates things because now you have to figure out what rules apply in the global chat. Whose rules do we apply? Do we make a whole separate rule? It adds more complication than there needs to be. Then if you just remove uni server, it's super simple. Oh, if I'm in this server, I'm talking in this server, I need to follow their rules. If I'm in another server, I need to follow their rules. Okay. And you talked about how it's the leader's job to educate their members on the frauding community. Why is it that I should educate my members about the history and about the other communities when they can't even do anything with that information? Oh yeah, you have this other Minecraft server, they play lots of Minecraft, they host events, they're great, they have a bunch of talking, everything, active members, super cool, right? They're part of the farming community, by the way. What is the member supposed to do with that? Oh, that's great, yeah. And that's it? That's it? You can't do nothing with that. Oh, but then you have global chat. I already addressed global chat, by the way. Okay, so telling and educating your members about doesn't change anything. It doesn't help anything. There's no point in telling them all this historical stuff. And then on top of that, um, there could be a rule. I remember you talked about like, oh, how there's staff in this one and then also staff in that one. We can have a rule, right, where you cannot be staff in multiple servers. There's different ways. It's not a simple, oh, you know what, just fuck it all, get rid of it all, let's just make everything open. The reason why without uniserverism, the previous, like FMR and stuff like that, all that failed is because you weren't prepared. You didn't know. But now that you know you basically know how to continue without uniserverism better than before. Uniserverism was kind of like it's kind of like a bandage. You don't keep the bandage on forever. You take it off because it should have already healed. And now let's say, okay, better example, better analogy. You're running, you slip, and you get hurt, right? We'll say that you, the person running, is the community. You getting hurt is the collapse. Okay? And uniserverism is a bandage. You put a bandage on your hurt area. Okay? So uniserverism is applied after the collapse. It helps. Everything is doing better. We're healing. Everything better, right? You do not keep the bandage on forever because you've healed. But now right? After having run and slipped, you know how to run better. You know how to do things better. You know how to not slip. If that makes any sense, because now that you've healed up, you're good. You have your members. Everything's going strong, right? Now it's time to remove that because now you know how to handle it better. Okay, this is how we address drama within the community when there's members jumping other servers. Now we know how to lead better. Now we know how to handle things better than what you guys did before. Also, the fact that we're smaller now in size than before means it's more easily manageable. You have to remember that this was years ago. Okay, this was a couple years ago. In 2 years, a lot of things can change. A lot of things. Um, Also, I think there was one more thing. Hold on one second.
Hmm.
I think I've addressed that. Mm-hmm.
Do you have it, or
Let me go.
would you like me to?
I have it. I have it. Hold on.
Okay.
Sorry, as I have a lot of these like points written down. I want to make sure I addressed everything.
Right, right.
Um, Another thing is the recovery. Let's say that it doesn't work out. You're right. We needed Uniserverism. How can we recover? It's it's not that hard. Boot back your members to their server, and that's it. He was like, "Oh no, but it's more complicated than that." It's really not. What the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is that you lose some members. In which case, now you should be more motivated, more drive to invite people to get new blood in your servers. Try and grow again and establish new long-lasting members. Okay, the worst case scenario, the absolute worst case scenario from removing Uniserverism, right, is a bunch of our most active members get funneled into one server. This is the worst case scenario. Everyone gets funneled into one server, and occasionally they jump to all the other servers to talk, to speak with the leaders, to experience what they have going on, to go, to events. Let's say everyone is in Exrovia, right? Arctic Pax is hosting an event. So you have a lot of those people go to AP to partake in that event. That's literally the worst I could see happening. There won't be a big collapse so long as we know how to manage it and do it correctly now. Um Another thing is, let me see, new servers. I think Gamer mentioned about this, how new servers would die if they join the fighting community because Uniserverism would not be in place, assumably, right?
Mm,
New servers. This is what Gamer said. Okay, that it would be hard. Like new servers would die if they join the community.
this
New servers.
one second.
Huh?
I gotta interject some moderation here. Uh,
Go ahead.
I I understand that you want to make this point if you want to, but I would just for the sake of having everyone speak, because I did speak a while, and you'd spoke a while a bit too. Just focus on the arguments that are brought up in the actual conversation. Gamer is not here right now. If Gamer were here, I'd let you respond to that. But right now, there's no one's brought up that point. So unless it's
Okay.
relating to one, just kind of keep it low. Because I spoke for way too long too. I'll recognize.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. I think that is everything then. I think that's everything.
Okay.
All right. Who else wants to speak?
All right. So
I think I want to speak.
okay, Edward Extrovia wants to speak. Go on.
Alright. So I do agree in some aspects that the community does badly need reform and we need to be more connected, and I'm all for it. But if we completely do it, like if we completely go with getting rid of uniserverism and all that, and we don't have any safeguards, could be an issue, and it could tarnish the idea of reform in general for a lot of people. So I think that what we should do is we should do a mixed approach. Like, yeah, have some more member connection and all that, but not just completely get rid of everything. Like, oh yeah, maybe we can make an event pass, or maybe we could do stuff to stop the issues or something like that. I just think that listening to both sides and hearing what they have to say and hearing solutions to stuff is the best way to go here. I I'm done talking. You guys can continue.
All right. Lost Luke, you're the only one that hasn't spoken yet. So do you want to make a comment about me, Uni, or Edward's points?
Yeah, actually, I'd like to.
Go on.
So yeah, I am on the side of that we don't need uniserverism, but I'm also on the side of we need it into an extent not completely, but at least in the way that we protect topics like Xrovia and Caveton are pretty similar, so users would probably pick a side. But now let's just think about a situation where you want to, for example, you're in Xrovia and you're also a coder, so you obviously want to be in a coding server like Dragon's Den, and you would choose to either you need to choose to either be in Dragon's Den or Xrovia because Uniserverism doesn't allow you to. Now, we would say this is a good option for the community, but it really isn't. If we think about it, I will still go into a coding server. I won't be in only Xrovia and not be in the same server like Dragon's Den. I'll just look up on another server, join that server, and be active in there, and probably also active in Xrovia. So basically, what we have in this situation isn't that we save the servers or the community, it just is that we push activity that could potentially be capsuled inside the community and push it outside the community. And then we have the situation where Dragon's Den probably loses one possible coder that could actually be active, or one user that would be active inside the community that would actually benefit the community itself, but it would just go away because we don't let them in. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. If I want to be in a chill server where it's not so mature like in Xrovia, like in AP, then I would decide, okay, I want to be in Xrovia or in Caveton, but I'd also like to be in a server that is more serious and they aren't so memeing around. That would probably be AP, and then I would want to be there in AP, but I can't. So I still go into another server. Nothing really changes about what the user really does. The user does the same thing. Anything that changes is that the activity that we could have inside the community and help other servers in the community just goes away. It goes to another server. It doesn't come for us. It doesn't help the community. It doesn't help the servers in the community. It basically just we just don't get that activity.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That
Okay.
was the point. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, anyone want to respond to Lost Nuke's points? Anyone? No. Okay. I do want to respond to everyone a little bit. First, I'm going to respond to Lost Nuke, and I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
precisely kind of pick you out here, just so I can make a point. Uh, I have up here the stats for Dragon's Den and for um, Exrovia. The top message member in all of Exrovia is Lost Nuke, you, with 15,000 messages. There are actually a little over 15,000 messages. In Dragon's Den, server which you are also in, but because it was a rule, which I'll get to eventually, uh, only 1,564 messages. Still top, mind you, which is really good, and I do see your point that it doesn't necessarily have to be a win-lose situation, but before you were even in Extrovia, right, your activity in Dragon's Den, or at least its predecessor, was much higher. In a sense, Dragon's Den lost an active member to Extrovia. The only reason you're in Dragon's Den, and and probably one of the biggest reasons why you haven't left it yet, was because of your connection with the owner, Drago, which is absolutely valid with Jason. And one of the biggest reasons why another alternative exists, which is the alternative you're using, which is Posidetis, Juris Posidetis, which in this case, in the community's context, means that if you were in a server before its annexation into the community, you are able to stay in the server even if you already belong to another community server. So, per se, if Ari, who is a member of Arctic Pike's server, if Ari was in Caveton and Arctic Pikes joins the community, she can still stay in both servers because she was there beforehand. But that's the only exception precisely because we don't want to break apart those existing relationships. Clearly, if I had made you say, okay, fuck you, man, you're just going to go over to Extrovia, that would have absolutely wrecked Dragon's Den. So that's a pre existing ecosystem, all right? A pre existing ecosystem that you were a part of. And then Extrovia, or in Extrovia now, before Caton, Extrovia was also a pre-existing ecosystem that when we fused, when both became Farting Community, that had to be maintained. But it doesn't change the fact that the biggest loser was Dragon's Den. I will now respond to Edward. This is numerical, mind you. This has nothing to do with who you prefer or who you don't. This is just numerical. Edward, I do agree on a couple of your points, I think on all of your points, that we do need more education or at least a better understanding in the whole community. I mentioned that that was a big issue to begin with. And don't get me wrong, I'm working on it. But the intrinsic value of this community that the leaders get to choose what's right for their members, because at the end of the day it's all for them. Uni said, well, something along the lines of, why are you even a leader, right, if you don't want to manage things? I do manage things every day, every single day, right? But the thing is, leaders at the end of the day are the ones to choose how much they want to expose their members to. That's what we do, right? We choose the topic of the server, we run all the events, we stress ourselves out, we do a lot of things. If you're a real leader, you do a lot of things to keep the community with you. It takes effort to do anything. It takes effort to run an advertisement server, which is not even a community. It's just people interested in advertising. But even more so when it's your friends, the people that you've known with a long time, and you don't really want to impose rules upon them because they're your friends. Some rules obviously necessary, true, but dictating who they hang out with or not, that's kind of a dick move. If Arctic Pikes doesn't know anyone in Caveton other than me, there's no real reason for them to join. If they're curious, they have their option. They have the Safe Pass system. One of the biggest things that I would say that would make all of this more tolerable is if we actually had a better Safe Pass system. One that's automatic. How easy would it be for a member to just type F Safe Pass Caveton in Arctic Pikes? They say, I want to go into it for 6 days. They put down the number 6. So then a message is sent to both me and Uni. Then just how the normal Safe Pass works, both leaders have to agree. Uni agrees to let that member be in my server for 6 days. I agree to let that member be in my server for 6 days. They are subject to my rules, just like Uni said. That's a system that already exists. So, yeah, I mean, Uni, you're right to some regard, because the already existing system does that in the first place. The Safe Pass system already does that. It would be easier, and it could be easier, mind you. It could definitely be easier. The Safe Pass system is essentially an artificial obstacle to kind of combat the restrictiveness. Because if it was only Uniserverism, I would understand why everyone's pissed. But there's ways to overcome Uniserverism, which leads me to my next point, global chat. I see a bit of hypocritical ideas when it comes to global chat in terms of Uni. Because Uni's saying, my members didn't really like global chat. Well, then you can get rid of it. But we want connection with the community. Bro, they're still the same members. They're the people that you saw in global chat, only because it was one chat, mind you. They really had nowhere else to go if they wanted to meme or whatever. Yeah, it was a bit of a clusterfuck. We can fix that problem with multiple chats. I'll get to that eventually. But if your members didn't like those people to begin with, they're the same people. They're not changing just because you're officially in the server. You're not looking at them in person. You're still a bunch of letters and an icon on the screen. The one thing you do get to experience is the rest of the server, which can be done through Safe Pass. Fair. Now, I want to. There are so many topics I'd like to get on, but I'm going to focus a little bit on global channel right now. You said that it would be chaotic, and like who will follow even whose rules. There are rules for global chat. They are pretty obvious what they are. For the old global chat, it was no images, No NSFW, none of that. Then, because we got a little better and Lost Nuke made the bot a little better, we were able to send images and such, so that rule was amended, but there was still no NSFW to be allowed. Now, we didn't have the securities in place because of what happened, so granted, it was not a perfect system, but the whole rule thing, it's pretty solved out. Just follow the rules of global chat. After all, a ban from one server equals a ban from any other server. That's also a natively Freudian rule that you also agreed to upon joining. Now, there are a lot of topics here, but I'm going to finish off my point on the whole global chat that you said technology can fail. Uni, I'm going to ask you a question. I don't know if you're here right now because I see you're muted, but do you, by any chance, call your grandma?
No,
You don't call your grandma. Do you call any of your family members?
my mom,
Your mom. Okay. And what do you use to call your mom?
a cell phone.
A cell phone. Granted, we can't do a global VC chat, which trust me, I would love. The closest thing we have on Discord to a phone, a cell phone, is global chat. That's the closest analogy that we have to it. So yeah, technology can fail. The bot can fail. It's not a perfect system, but it's much better than the alternative that's absolutely everybody stay in their own servers. No one knows about anyone. No one cares about anyone. Everyone just stay in their own server. You don't even supposed to know that every other server exists. No, global chat was the alternative. But then you say no to global chat. So assuming that this was supposed to be a process, right? If one extreme is no uniserverism and the other extreme is uniserverism, the middle ground would be global chat. It's the perfect in between. We're in our own servers, but we get to know and talk to everybody else. But you said no to that. Your response was no. You want to jump from point A to point B without any intermedium, like no middle ground there. It's the perfect compromise, but you said no to it. But yet you're absolutely okay with people, those same people, mind you, the same people that you said aren't, mature enough to be in Arctic Pikes. You want those same people in your server now. And then you say, well, no, I can always say no to them. Then you're doing Safe Pass. That's what the Safe Pass system is. You can say yes or no to the members coming into the server through Safe Pass. So, I don't know what the issue is here with the global chat or with the Safe Pass system. Okay, and that leads me off to the integration topic that you brought up. You said there's not enough integration along those lines. You said we can integrate ourselves, and you mentioned the worst case scenario. I'll get to that worst case scenario too. But let's assume that one of your members joins Exrovia. They become more active in Exrovia. Let's say I actually turned out to be right. And let's say now we have to revert uniserverism. You said it's not that difficult. You're the leader. And you're proposing that in the event that you're wrong, if you're putting your hand on the fire and saying, if I'm wrong, I will essentially force my members back into AP. Even though they might want to stay in Extrovia, in Caveton, or wherever they may be. The issue was to prevent that to begin with. But now they know about AP. Now they know about, Lost Nuke said that he can't be. Now they don't want to leave because maybe they're mods there. Maybe even now they form relationships in there. They're friends or maybe a girlfriend. I don't know. You can't separate that bond. That was made that was made by that member. That was a friend. That's a friend. That's why even with the current uniserverism system, Juris Possidetis still exists. Lost Nuke is still able to stay in Drago's server because of that particular system. So it seems wrong to me that we're saying if I'm wrong, then this happens. If I'm wrong, then you're essentially going against what I personally stand for, which is let members make the choice. make a vote, have their voice be heard. Right now, your voice and your members' voices are being heard. If it turns out that you're wrong, we're essentially going to say, all right, well, screw it. I mean, shit, I was wrong, right? Just hey, Super Robo Wizard, hey, come back to AP. No, I know you like Extrovia now, but no. And then we're gonna have to make members choose, which is the worst thing possible. The very same issue was the whole Death Heart situation with KBS. That was the whole shebang. That the girl could not figure out how to choose, but in that case, it was between an enemy server, a hostile server. Do you really want to do that with Caveton Extrovia? I don't know. Maybe you do. But then you said, it's not going to be so difficult. It's like you running and then slipping down and hurting and scraping your knee. A scraped knee does not mean we go from 15 servers to 2 servers. That is basically almost dying. So, I don't know about you, but if my whole deal is going skydiving and one time I fuck up both my legs, I don't think I'm going to skydive again. But you know what? That's not analogous because skydiving is an actual sport that some people enjoy. So I'm going to put this akin to playing chicken with a train. Let's say I like to play chicken with a train. After all, it gets my adrenaline pumping. There are many other ways to get my adrenaline pumping. But if I choose to run towards the train and then jump out at the very last second, I'm putting myself at a risk here. If that eventually does happen and I come a little too close for comfort, I'm never jumping in front of a train again. Because I know what could happen. Maybe the train, I don't know, broke my foot, but that's the least of my worries. I could have gone on much worse. I'm never doing that again. That's essentially what happens in the community. We were playing chicken the whole time because we didn't know any better, because we're stupid. But now we know what can happen if this rule is not in place. But now we're saying, let's give it a chance. Okay, you can play chicken if you want. At some point, in the many times that you're playing chicken, that train's going to come a little too close for comfort and you're going to find yourself in the same position again. And this time, it's not just Arctic Pikes getting hurt. It's not just Caveton being hurt. It's the whole community this time. Precisely what Uniserverism is meant to guard against. The whole system that we have in place, it's so that issues don't spread. Some issues inevitably have to spread, which is why we have a Congress to deal with it as a group. But some things are just dealt on the local level. That's how it should be. In other words, why risk it? Then you said the worst case scenario is that members are funneled into one server and they might not want to leave. I literally just touched on this topic, but yeah, that's what Uniserverism is trying to prevent in the first place. You're saying the very reason why Uniserverism exists. Members might not want to leave. So what, are you going to force them to leave? No, Fud, I'm not going to force them to leave. So now you have a member that was effective, that was in your server, that was doing everything, that was being mod, that was active, whatever, and now you're basically sharing it with Extrovia and you can't force them out. That's not competition, that's just being stupid. Now, we're going to talk about competition next. You say we have competition between each other. We already do, mind you. We do. But it should be less of competition, the way we're going to talk about it, and we're going to put it akin to stealing. All right? One thing is a sibling rivalry. You know, me and you and Edward, we joke about, well, me and Edward particularly because we're so similar, me and Edward joke around about who's best, Extrovia or Caveton. And our members do too in global chat. Hashtag Caveton, hashtag Extrovia. It just happens. We get nationalistic about our own servers. Extrovia is so quirky and Caveton is so historical. You're old, you're new. It happens, right? It's a rivalry. We compete in that way. That's perfectly fine. But when we go to the next level and we're starting to compete for members, the same members, things can start getting ugly. Currently, as it is, Arctic Pikes can sleep soundly, expanding its influence or not among its other servers that may be around it, right? Gaining members through those servers, and not fear the fact that a server that's very similar to it, like Caveton, or a comparable server to it, like Purgatorium, is just going to swoop in.
Yeah.
So,
Let's start.
huh?
Just continue.
Okay. So we can that's one of the things that we offer, right? That's one of the things that between each other there is competition, but it's almost like a sibling rivalry. Mom, he has my juice box kind of deal. In the other case with other servers, the only way you can earn service generally is through advertisement or through direct partnerships, and that's essentially getting members from other servers, which they hopefully, if you're doing things right, those members will be inactive in those other servers. You see what I'm saying? It becomes a different kind of rivalry, one that we should not have between the same union. In other words, we're all Discord servers. We all follow the same rules. The same basic rules apply to all of us. The one monkey wrench thrown into everything is the community itself. This kind of union, where an Arctic Pikes member like you could suddenly become president of 7 servers, the idea that a normal member from Arctic Pikes, just bringing up something, a thing that they found quirky about the community, and suddenly there's a community-wide debate about it, that's native to this community. It's native to big communities to begin with, but only in this community that I know of will you see that sort of thing happen. Only in this community could I see a guy like Edward, a total no one in any case when he first joined, become the leader of the top server just by following simple rules. It seems silly, but it happens. That's what I'm saying. Servers, they're all the same. We all run the same way, more or less. Advertisement, which I'll get to eventually. But the monkey wrench is the community. Now you said it's just about handling things. Yes, you're right. We have to handle things. That's true. But I don't know about you, Uni. But I hate organizing my own clothes. I really do. I hate it. Like, I hate folding them and I hate hanging them up. It's just horrible for me. Laundry day is the worst, mind you, but for me, I hate doing that. But I'd be even more pissed off, right, if I had to sort through my neighbor's clothes. Because now they're allowed to use my washer, my clothes washer, my laundry. So now we're mixed up between each other. Now I have more laundry to sort through. I hate cleaning my dog's poop. I would hate to clean everyone else's poop. Like everyone else's dog's poop. I don't like it. My point is, can you handle things? Yes, to be a normal functioning adult, you have to be able to do all these things. But generally, you don't put more upon yourself just for the heck of it. So, can we handle issues better than we did back then? Yes. But the issues that happened because there was no uniserverism were natively messy issues that why would we even want to deal with them to begin with? So instead of the pretty comfortable system that we have right now, where an issue in Arctic Pike stays in Arctic Pikes unless they somehow pull out Article Point 3 of the community, right? In which case they have to like go up into a higher level of problem resolution. Now we're gonna have to involve 2 leaders in everything. Two leaders in everything. 2 moderation systems, 2 rule systems. It complicates matters even more. You say just go by the rules of the normal server. Sure, yeah, that can work. But then what happens if they get banned? Rule of the community. If they get banned from that server, banned from all the others. Okay, just amend that rule. Okay, now we're changing the whole rules of the community. That's great. Want to go through that process? I mean, I know I don't. But maybe it's worth it. Maybe to you it's worth it because just to see what happens. What happens if it fails? Then you're saying, okay, sorry, I was wrong. Guys, I was wrong. Just get everyone back into their native server. And then maybe those members have formed, like I said, relationships or whatever that you're essentially now forcibly breaking. I need to bring up the point. Uniserverism is not perfect. I have to state that again. It's not at all perfect. The entire time here, I've just been responding to everything that you said. I'm finally getting to my point. Uniserverism is not perfect, but the issues it solves, issues that are native to this community, native to the way it's structured, can be overcome in various ways. The safe path system to me seems like the best possible um, medium between the two. In just 4 days, there will be a convention, a Friday convention, where everyone is allowed to join this one server, talk with each other, possibly get annoyed by each other. Every server shows off in a panel what they're all about, and then after that day's over, you'll have to wait another 6 months. And then you brought up a state analogy. Let's go with your state analogy. Udi, are you by any chance in Nevada right now?
No.
You're not. Okay. In Nevada, we have the city of Las Vegas. That's a tourist site. From wherever you are right now in the United States, you can travel to Nevada, right?
Yes.
I'm assuming it's kind of far, right? Maybe like maybe a day away, more. I'm assuming. I'm not sure.
No.
All right. So Nevada is kind of far away, but even if it was an hour away, if your job was in Nevada, in real life, people can only be and dedicate themselves to what's local around them. My job is going to be in my city. And if it's in another city, I'm going to be a little bothered by it. But in real life, we can't be in two places at once. On Xbox 360 back in the day, right, where Uniserverism wasn't a thing, the reason was is because regions back then were based off different platforms. There was the Xbox 360, Xbox One, PlayStation 3, and PlayStation 4. We couldn't communicate with each other. We had to forcibly stick to our own consoles. Discord is different. It poses a different challenge, which is what SafePass and Uniserverism are. Artificial, mind you, barriers to mimic that same separation. Together, we are together. We have more in common than we want to admit. But this little barrier that we have between us is precisely what we need. So that way, Arctic Pikes is still Arctic Pikes. Caveton is still Caveton. We have our identities separate. Do we need to do a better job in making sure everyone feels a little more Freudian? Absolutely. And to bring up a final point that you said, what does it matter? Like, why should my members learn anything about the community's history? Well, then if you're gonna pull that argument, I honestly don't know what you want. You want integration, but not that kind. Natively, if we're talking about education and we're talking about how the community works, history has to get involved there. It's just part of who we are. The reason Arctic Pikes is the way it is because of its history as an independent server and as a Freudian colony. The way Extrovia is like that is because of a long list of reasons, some of which might be interesting to some of your members, but you're saying it doesn't have to be. And you're right. But that's your call. It's your call to say, hey, this is what the history is or not. That's why I said it's up to the leader. You think in your mind that your members aren't going to like Freudian history? Well, classical Freudian history? All right. I believe you. That's your call. It can only be your call unless you want me to go in there and be like, all right, do you guys actually want to learn this shit? Which is not very fair because you're the leader of the server. I can't outrule you. You're the leader of Arctic Pikes. You make the calls there. So you're telling me, Fraud, my members won't care about it. But at the same time, you're saying we need more integration. We need to get to know each other a little better. History is a part of that integration. So, in other words, in your specific case, Uni, you want to be close. You want to get to know the other servers, but don't want global chat. You don't like the people in global chat because they're not pikes. They're not as mature as the people in Arctic Pikes. Okay, they're not as mature as the people in Arctic Pikes, but they're the same people. The people that you'll meet in other servers, they're the same guys. They're not changing just because you're there. They're the same people. You'll just be with the people that you don't like in a different server. You say, there should be more information about the community. There is an information chat. All servers should have one. If you don't, then you're essentially breaking a community rule. But I also said you can put as much information or as little information as you want. You can mention that it's just a network of Discord servers and that's it. Or you can do what Edward did and put the whole history of the community in his information chat. But that is, again, up to you. The level of integration is up to you. How much you want your members to participate in the community, again, up to you. Edward, not too far ago, proposed the Tribunes Project. An excellent project by any means. He said, let's have members from each server who aren't leaders come in and have posed their opinions about things. Only 2 servers wanted to send tribunes. One of those servers was not Arctic Pikes. The article is still there in the rules of the community, mind you. We can go pick it up whenever we want to, but it's not being used. Not because I didn't want to. I approved it. I'm one of the people that voted for it. But because, as a leader, it's your intrinsic choice and right to choose what you want your members to participate in. You don't want your members to participate in the tribunes? Fine by me. A long time ago, I proposed that, I think it was Nick. I said Nick should probably be in the EJ, one of the highest levels of the fighting community. We never really got too far with that. Because again, it's your choice. And if you choose to be closed off, sure, even better, grow. I'm all for it. I've helped you with that. But you can't turn around again and say, hey, why isn't there more of this? Just seems a bit of a double standard to me. Hello? Anyone? I think
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I just didn't know you were done yet. I wasn't sure if you were done.
All right. Does anyone want to
Okay,
respond to me?
I will.
All right, go on.
So, I think after this debate, I think everyone has finally seen both sides. And first, I want to correct a few things. As I've already said before, when you was talking about global chat and like, oh, that was supposed to be the compromise to, get members together. Like I've said before, you cannot compare channels with specific themes to them the same to a server. You just can't. Server in channels, you don't have specific roles. You don't have different privileges. There aren't different rules. Well, the only different rules there are is the global chat rules that you've stated. Also, with the analogy about scraping your knee, I did not indicate that the scraping of the knee signifies how many servers you lost. I've indicated that's the collapse. That's when everything started falling apart. So that correlation was simply incorrect. Now, me and you are basically like both at both extremes, and we completely ignore the other two who had really good solutions, I think. they thought about a mix. You kind of ignored the possibility of there being a mix. It's like, oh, completely uniserverism, and like myself, I completely ignored it too. Whereas like, no, we don't want anything, none of that, everything just open, right? If you look in the YouTube comments, you should see people compromising and thinking about they they've they've come up with a compromise, which I can agree with. Uh, they said that uniserverism should apply to certain servers, but not all servers. Also, I've brought up the fact about like education, like educating your members about the history,
Hmm.
only because there's no purpose. There's literally no purpose in doing so because of uniserverism. Like I've said before, if you tell them, great, they know, you know. And I've noticed say like, oh, it's how much integration you want to, you know, how much integration you want them to have, you know. With uniserverism, I can't give them integration. But then you're probably gonna bring, oh, but the EJ, you know, that's politics. They
That's
want to do member stuff. They want to talk. They want to, you know, do member stuff. Um, on top of that, the I'm willing to do a compromise. I think we should really listen to the other two that spoke, Ed and Lost Nuke, where they talked about how uniserverism should apply to similar servers, um, rather than completely different ones. For example, like
Sorry if I'm interrupting you or anything, but I didn't necessarily advocate that. That was mainly Lost Nuke.
you didn't you want a mix? Or you said
Yeah,
like
but I
slow.
didn't necessarily say that I wanted the unit topicism that you guys were talking about.
okay.
No, I never said
Okay.
unitopicism.
Okay.
I said
Hold
a
on.
mix.
Hold on. Edward, I understand that he said something totally wrong. I've noticed a couple of things that he mentioned on my side that maybe I didn't bring across properly. But you're just gonna have to wait until his turn is over if you want to correct anything. Okay? Okay.
Okay. Wait.
Go on. Sorry.
So yeah, people are saying that uniserverism should apply to only similar servers instead of completely different servers, you know, with different niches. So if you would like to address that, you may go ahead, but I'm just simply telling you that that is the compromise that they are speaking. That's all I have to say.
Responses? I would like to mention to actually, I'm gonna give a bit of a time so we can take the questions from chat because I think that would be a smart choice. But before I do that, any questions from Edward or myself? I don't have any interjections with that. I have corrections, but that would take too long.
Alright. I have one correction other than that.
Mm.
Like, I don't have much. So basically, my main issue is you said that I wanted a middle ground
Mhm.
of, like, servers of a similar topic not being involved with each other. And I wanted a middle ground, don't get me wrong, but that's not specifically what I said. That was mainly what Packer and Lost Nuke kind of wanted. What I
Yeah.
was more so thinking about is just having more connection, not servers of a similar topic not being able to join each other. That's not necessarily what I was saying. Alright, I'm done at least with my statement.
Uni, do you have any quick statements before we move on to kind of ask chat what they think about this?
Yeah. I didn't word my sentences correctly. Sorry about that. I meant to say that the unitopicism or whatever, that's what chat is implying, and that you were speaking about how you felt like there should be like slow integration, some stuff like that, like how you have the what's that proposal, the where you have like the convention and stuff like that,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
like that, for example. I was simply saying that. I'm not saying that you were also a part of what the chat has said.
Hmm.
That's all. That's all I
Alright.
have.
Okay, excellent. All right, so we're gonna move on to the section that has to do with chat. So, chat, if you guys have been talking, which I think that you guys actually have been doing quite a bit, we're gonna actually address it. So if you guys have any conversations pending between you guys, finish it up, close it up. I'll be looking for people that just kind of at Fraudia TV, like so you do at Fraudia TV, and then you ask your respective question, and I'll choose one at random, and if then maybe Edward can choose one if he's on chat, and Uni, you can choose one as well. I did see one question that I want to kind of get out of the way first. Someone asked if there were other leaders in the debate. Currently, it's only Edward, Uni, and myself. The reason is, unfortunately, the debate was also hey, if you want to kind of deal. If you don't feel that this is an issue for you, or if you don't have any voices upon it, then you don't need to participate. So that was also a kind of let the leader decide what is right for them and their respective server. Okay, so all right, so let's do it. Chat, do you guys have any questions, concerns, or anything specific to any one of us that you guys want to ask? If not, I will look through the past couple questions and I'll see what people think. So I will go ahead and just wait for someone to say something. By the way,
Just like the video.
subscribe and like the video, guys.
Yeah.
You were going for that. You should have had the clickbaity title.
Oh no, no, that is totally not what I'm all about right now.
I'm kidding.
Okay, we got a couple questions now. We'll go with Kunvalin's question first. At Friday TV, do you agree or disagree that we should switch from uniserverism to unitopicism, where you can't join similar servers in the community? Example, I, who is an AP, should be able to join an MC server. We'll start out with Kun's question. Anyone have a response to that?
I I think that's a good compromise. Uh I think that's the right step to go. But I can understand why someone like you, I'm not speaking for you, but I'm saying I understand that why someone might not want that to happen because it's almost like it's almost like removing uniserverism is just you're being very selective about it. But that's all I have to say.
Edward?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Nuke, you're back. Any questions? The question, by the way, was: do you agree that we should switch from uniserverism to unitopicism, where you can't join similar servers in the community? Okay.
I guess Lostnik died.
I think Lost Nuke is having some connection issues. All right. That only leaves myself. Do we agree that? Okay, so I kind of have to agree with Uni here. To me, unitopicism just kind of seems like an even stricter form of uniserverism in my regard, because now we have to sort servers based on topic, which is a little difficult to do. I would argue all servers have the same topic because we're all community servers, right? Unless one of us proposes a specific service, I think it just kind of makes things more complicated. So it's like you can join this server, but you can't join this server, but you can't, like, just adds more stuff to it. And that's one thing I kind of wanted to not want to overcomplicate things more. So I disagree. I think the safe pass system that we currently have in place already should, in theory, do a good job of that either way. If you want to join an MC server and experience it, yeah, go ahead. Be my guest. If Uni agrees, you don't have any mod responsibilities in your server that might be threatened by you looking at another server, in theory, so similar to Arctic Pikes. And if I'm okay with it, I don't think you're going to be cause trouble in my server. By all means, I request a safe pass right now to Caveton if you want to, or Extrovia for that matter.
Can I request a safe pass to Arctic Pike?
Yeah, dude. After this,
You've been freaking dodging
Can
that
I
for
read
a
the
while.
next question? Can I read the next question?
yes. I'm sorry. It's just that fucking
Alright.
word said something. Okay.
So yeah, Aphrodia TV. What do you say to the thought that Uniserverism is self-destructive to the server as it strangles the flow of members into picking singular servers and making them possibly leave? Anyone have a response?
I have one.
Go ahead.
I mean, the thing about it is that when they first join, most likely they don't know about the other servers yet. It's something that they get when they come along. So it's not necessarily going to make them leave. It's just an issue of, like, where do we go with the members' health versus the server's health in terms of, like, what they want. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
That's all I have to say. Other than that, I'm good.
Alright, anyone else?
I think I just have a question about it. So it says, what do you say to the thought that uniserverism is self-destructive to the server as it strangles the flow of members into picking singular servers and making them possibly leave? I don't think I fully understand the question. Um, I guess my response to that will be, to a server, uniserverism is excluding picking and choosing, quote unquote, from the 7 other servers that are part of the organization. But it's free to do basically whatever it wants to every other server that it sees. So the only limit is to avoid any destruction or damage, if you could even call it that, to other servers in the same community, but okay with everyone else because, you know, we can't care about every other server. So, I mean, if you're outside of the community's reach, quote unquote, then I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter what they do, what you guys do with them. Kind of like how Arctic Pikes can have any partnership it wants to, so long as it doesn't share a Caveton link, because then that would defeat the purpose of uniserverism.
Mhm. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? No? Okay, I will move on to the next question. At Friday TV, I want my main coding server to be DD, Dragon's Den, not a small server from 2016. Why can't I have this exact? Fry, I think you can
Respond to that.
answer this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, so Dragon's Den is a coding server. For those of you who don't know, Dragon's Den is J Dragon's server. He is the leader of that server, and it's been recently seeing quite a bit of growth as of late. Why can't it be your main coding server? It can definitely be your main community server if you would like. If you're outside of the community, you could just join it and no problem there. But if you're inside the community, you can definitely have a safe pass to it, which you can be there for a month if your leader agrees, and if that leader agrees. Again, it's all dependent on if the leaders agree. So if J Dragon wants you in his server for a month, and if I don't know, Edward agrees with it, no harm, no foul, all good. You can be there for that month. Do you want to stay longer for a month? Go ahead. Just get permission from Uni and Drago first and see if they want to renew it. I mean, if they want to, they can renew it endlessly. But that's again dependent on the leaders. So
Coding. He emphasizes not community server coding.
right,
And
the thing is that's one of the things that I'm saying. Every server in the community might have a slightly different topic, but the main core thing that we all have to focus on is that DD is not just a coding server, it's a community server that its glue, just like for Arctic Pikes' maturity, is coding. People come to Arctic Pikes or Caveton or whatever because they were attracted maybe by the ad or by they have a friend in here, mainly because they have friends of friends who are here, right? That's in the case of Caveton anyway. They come in for the community. right? And they
Hold
say
on,
it because of
can I
something else.
interject here real quick
Aye,
before you continue?
aye.
Um, I think everyone's like screaming their head off right now because they're saying community is not a topic since they're all communities. Topics are more like the niches, not
Yes.
because community is not a niche. Sadly enough, because it's such a broad thing. Because you can have a Minecraft community, you can have a Dead by Daylight community. The topic is what their focus is on. The focus is not that they're a community. The focus is what their community is themed on.
Understood.
So I just want to tell you that because that's what the chat is saying.
Yeah, no, and I understand that in the sense that they're all communities in the sense, but not every server is a community. They're saying if you're saying I want to use it as my coding server, a coding server generally is a service Discord. That's what I'm saying. A service Discord, a coding server is generally a service Discord where you find people that are coders, and then you can possibly hire one to teach you or to make a bot for you.
Yes, and so with that, the
DD, on the
person.
other hand, sorry to interrupt you. DD, on the other hand,
Mhm,
is a coding slash a bit of gaming, mainly coding server. But to respond
mhm.
to the specific question that they were asking, can you make DD your main coding server? You can move to it by leaving whatever fraudulent server you're currently in it, or you can get a save pass that can just be renewed by the time it ends. So you can just get it renewed and renewed and renewed if you feel like it. And if you don't, then you just go back to your regular server. Whatever consequences that may constitute in your home server, that's completely a distinct topic, and that's not even in the range of the question.
Yeah. So I think also what chat wants to communicate to us is, I remember how you said like, oh, I think if we do the unitopicism, how it's gonna overcomplicate things, because like, oh, what we have to like now label the servers and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Whereas they think that it's not gonna be that complicated because, as we've clarified now, community is not a topic. The topic is the niche, the theme of it. And so, for example, if we had a Dead by Daylight server,
Mhm.
you know, uh, then and you have my server, which my server is maturity and it's also community, right? My niche is maturity. So let's say we had another server that was also based on maturity. That's when topicism would apply, and uniserverism would apply to both the people that have mature servers. Or that's
Mhm.
I want to just address that because they were screaming their heads off about. We should really move on to the
Yeah,
questions.
that's what I was about to suggest as well. Eddie,
Yeah, do you want to read it?
I think we've been ignoring Eddie actually. So
No, it's fine.
Eddie, do you want to
I
read the
don't
question?
have much to say about it.
No, do you have a question you'd like to read?
Okay, I'm gonna scroll through the chat real quick.
Yeah. It goes where Kun says what Kun says.
Oh boy, there is a lot here. Um, Why not have a system where you
Feel
can
like I
go
can read
whatever
it.
server you like? You could already go to whichever server you like. There's really nothing stopping you.
No,
It's
that's not
just
it.
okay.
It's from
Mm,
Kun. You want me to read it, so we save time.
sure.
Mhm.
All right, from Kun. Fraudia TV. Would there ever be such thing as a permanent safe pass? There are certain servers that have clear niches, even though they are all community. Coding and Minecraft are very different. Again, that was why I was telling you earlier.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
is there possible to be a permanent safe pass?
I mean, absolutely. Hell yeah. The thing is, I don't know if any member here currently understands this aspect of the community, and I'm sorry if you've been just kind of dealing this just out of the like no previous context whatsoever. Uh, but this community is very evidently a democratic community, at least on the higher level, right? I don't know. Every server runs itself, but every server and its members are in theory entitled to their vote and their voice through their leader in the Flooding Community Congress, of which all of us are a part of. So if a proposal for a permanent safe pass ever passes through Congress, then yeah, it can totally go work. Yeah, of course, have to be more refined, right? It can't just be permanent safe pass everybody, but that would be a discussion and a debate, an internal debate for Congress, or an external debate should we decide to make one like that. So to respond to your
Right.
question, yes, it can totally be like that.
Okay, so I want to point out some of the other comments about your response. Uh, so since you said you can have a permanent safe pass,
Mhm.
why not just keep it open? Why not just have it open? Because then that just seems like that's what's that funny meme? It's like, oh, that just seems like extra steps. It just seems like
It is.
no uni server with extra steps.
It is an extra step. Here, the best way that we can, if you want, right, if it makes it easier to visualize what uniserverism actually is, right? Because
It's basically
it's,
like you can't. The default is that you can't go to the other servers, but governors can allow it.
right. So to even begin to visualize it, because uniserverism is kind of like the general rule of thumb. But if we really want to dumb it down in a way, you could say that it's essentially the rule is you can't go to other servers unless your leader and that leader approves it. That's uniserverism. Now you say that's an obstacle. Yeah, it is an obstacle. It is definitely an obstacle, but it's a necessary obstacle. And this time, like I said, most of the rules in the community are meant to empower members. This rule is to empower the leader and the administration, right? Because normal rule, I mean, people can impeach the president. That's clearly empowering the people. People can do this, people can do that, people can vote to leave the fighting community. Like, people can vote a lot of things. Uniserverism is a rule that goes against that and says, members, you can't leave your home server unless your leader allows it. Why? Because some leaders, myself included, have members that were quite interested uh, in maintaining and protecting because they form such a crucial part of our server ecosystem. Is that a bit unfair? I mean, you can have your views on it, but as server leaders, even if you are, you will know that this is kind of true, but usually you don't have to worry about this because you compete with every other server around you. The idea is that you get more members, period. When you're part of a union, you have to be considerate about the other servers that are out there.
Okay, so now I'm gonna for chat.
Here, do you mind
Um,
if I read some of them because, like, just to kind of see?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think there's some.
They're more directed towards you, anyways.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Friday TV. Why do you not have a system where you can go on what and whatever see, since that is what Discord's all about? What does it say? Okay.
Right, you seem to have a few connection issues.
Do I? My brain is a connection issue right now. Yeah.
Because you like freaking cut off like while you were speaking.
I'm sorry. Let's see.
That's happened a few times, although like not very often, maybe once every 10 minutes.
Is it in the server like? Okay, we're getting thing. Procrastinating, even though it doesn't have at Friday in it, a lot of people seem to agree with it. It says you were talking about how bad it is to take choice away from people, but like community members from different servers are all here saying it's pointless. Yes, I am. That is very contradictory, and I'm not gonna lie and say that it's not. Um, it's bad to take away the choice of the people in terms of servers and in terms of the relationships and the friendships that are already established. That's what I'm against. And I like empowering the people and doing everything for them when it's, or how should I put this? I like empowering them if it doesn't damage anything, right? But when we see something like what happened in 2018, what is currently happening now between Caveton and Extrovia, where Extrovia is seeing slight repercussions just from the few members we shared through the safe pass system, mind you, right? That the obstacle that we said that is supposedly such a huge obstacle and no, not at all like insurmountable that it should just go away. Even now, we're seeing some few things affect Exrovia and affect Caveton. In this case, Caveton is coming out winning, but it doesn't matter who wins or loses because at the end of the day, the damage is being done to ourselves. Caveton and Exrovia are part of the same union. So could I sit here and be like, oh yeah, Uniserverism can go away because I know I'm going to get all the members and all the activity and whatever? Can I say that? Yeah, I can say that. But that that defeats the purpose. As president, I have to look out for every single server. The fact that Extrovia is getting hurt because Caveton allowed members to come in, sure, sucks, but that was that member's choice and that was that leader's choice. So if the leader is okay with it, and in theory they all should be because it's your choice, that extra obstacle is meant to be that obstacle. And even with that obstacle, you can already see some effects. Which is why I'm saying, break the obstacle, it could be a lot worse. Okay, let me see. But then why not just still have free access to all the servers? Like, for the reason that I just said, Ren Chalky. You could have free access to the servers. Like I said, you can have save passes. That little obstacle is the thing that's preventing leaders or whatever from having something potentially disrupt them. Edward could have said no to that. In theory, he could have. I could have said no if I wanted to. Right? Um, did he have to? Could he have to? Yes, probably. But it didn't really matter. He said yes. The consequences were his choice to take. That members. The big
Yeah, the reason I said yes mainly is because
no one wants to take the
I
members'
started.
decision away. Honestly, I think that's the biggest one.
Yeah.
Like,
Like for me, it's like, oh yeah, just let him see what the server is,
yeah,
because then it would probably be more disruptive to say no. At least in moderation. If it's like 5 members that are going to that server, then obviously I'm gonna say no.
in my case, I've never said no to a safe pass request myself. I might have overlooked them because I have so much to do on a daily basis, but I've never said no to one, and that the main reason is because I want them to see what the community is about using the safe pass system. The reason I accentuate that is because the choice needs to be there. That little obstacle still needs to be there. Okay. Says at Fraudia TV, most of these arguments seem to be for servers of similar topics, not different ones. SafePass and Uniserverism seems to be good for Extrovia and Caveton, not on all of them. That is an extremely good argument. I disagree because, like I said, and you guys said this in a different way too, but they're all communities. We all follow the same rules in terms of how we grow, how we develop, how we get more members. We all follow the same rules. And we all have the same key members, quote unquote. I mean, we all have key members. We all have similar systems because we belong to the same community. The server architectures and the server systems in and of themselves are quite similar, which is why I'm saying taking away uniserverism, sorry, doing unitopicism instead of uniserverism just kind of complicates things and doesn't really accomplish anything, in my eyes. Uh, but I do see your point that there are some servers that are just so drastically different from one another uh, that maybe they do warrant a different system. Maybe they do. Um, but at the current moment, the way I see it, in any case, it definitely uniserverism would be the lesser of two evils for me, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, that would be my response to that. Let's see.
I like to interject.
Go on.
Basically, what some of them, and I agree with, is that categorizing isn't as complicated as it may seem.
Mm-hmm.
They're really advocating for this compromise. Some are actually saying, just remove it. We should do whatever we want. But I also understand why it is that you still want I really highly advocate for this compromise because I think it's a good idea. Categorizing would not be hard, and on top of that, one of them said to use the tags that, like, you know how you have tags and hashtags and stuff like that? You can use those in order to help organize if it's that complicated. Uh, Hell, even Packer, he went ahead and categorized it for the most part.
Can I interject and just
So
ask you a direct question?
go ahead.
On a server to server basis, and one of the arguments I'm still on about, we keep arguing about the removal or the not removal or the keeping of uniserverism or the implementation of unitopicism, which to you is an alternative or a compromise. I know for a fact that global chat is not a full replacement, but I know global chat is the best compromise in the sense that we are able to communicate, because the biggest thing that you're mentioning here is the whole communication aspect. I propose to you this: if we implement a global chat system that is accepted by the whole community with the safeguards that it needs, like it currently has, and the different topics that leaders can choose, or have members choose which topics they want out of it, to me, that essentially clears up that issue because we're having that communication to begin with. We have the technology available to do so. So I guess what I'm trying to ask is, one, why don't you want global chat? Just right now, without any uniserverism context backing it up, why do you not want global chat?
I think I can probably answer. They don't want global chat because they want no uniserverism. They think it's better. What we and possibly you cannot see as leaders, they will see as members. We have to also think through the perspective they are a member. They're not a leader like us. We preserve activity. We care about activity. We care about who is mainly talking, whereas the members is like, I want to have a good time. I want to talk to whoever I want to talk to. I do not want to be limited by people. You know, if I want to go talk to someone in Exrovia, I should be able to do that. I shouldn't have someone block me from doing that. Now, the members
That's not the
compromise.
question I asked you, though. I understand.
No, I'm saying
I
this is
understand.
what the
I understand that members might have a differing opinion. I'm not asking. I understand that they have a differing opinion. But you, as a leader, supposedly knowing Arctic Pikes more than I do, um, I would like to ask you, as a leader, while let's assume that because we're gonna have to definitely talk about this in a debate in Congress in the future if we decide to replace uniserverism for unitopicism or whatever. That process might take a while, just because of the number of votes it will take to repeal something in the rules of the community, which takes a 70% vote, mind you. So, uh, in that time period, whether yes or no uniserverism would or not be amended, why would you not accept global chat? Because
it's not the same feel.
I understand for the members, maybe not. If you want, I can ask the public question right now. It looks like I'm wrong here, and some members really did like it. And I know that the person that removed it, Uni, was you. Maybe I have it all wrong because you posed it to me. According to what you told me, it was the members that said that they disliked global chat, that they never used it, they just weren't interested in it, which that might have been true, at least partly, but I want to know, you as a leader, why would you not accept global chat again? I know it's not a replacement, mind you. It's by no means a replacement, but I would argue it's a better compromise. In a no, well, I would say it's a better compromise for the things that we care about in particular as leaders.
I do not want it back because knowing my members, so I do know them, uh, they wouldn't just because if they didn't like it the first time, I don't know what would make you think that because they got updated that they would want it again. I don't think if I integrated it, if I took the time after I just got done removing it to integrate it again, I don't think anything would have changed because it's still the same stuff. It's still the clutter that they see it at.
Could you could you in a way right now in front of the whole fighting community, could you say and unequivocally tell me that in your server people were opposed to global chat? Or was it that
No, they were never opposed to global chat. They simply were not interested.
so they were not interested, but they weren't opposed
They
to
were
it.
not interested. They weren't
So
so they weren't like, oh ew, global chat? Ew, no, I don't want that. Don't put it in here. They were more like, okay, if it's in here, whatever. If it's not in here, whatever. They were not interested.
they weren't interested. Very well. In a way, to me, that tells me that they weren't interested in talking to other members of the fighting community. That's what that tells me.
They weren't interested in talking to other members in that manner. Now, I would like to also correct that the full Arctic Pikes do not dislike the other members. They don't like global chat, not the members, not the other members. Global chat. They do not like talking in that manner. They like having the full server. They like having different channels, all that stuff. They do not want to have to go. They don't want to have to. What's the best way to describe it? They don't want to have to go through something in order to talk to someone. They do not want to talk through a medium.
Okay. So, with that, I'll believe you, obviously. Um, okay. So, if for Arctic Pikes, global chat makes no sense, or it at least doesn't appeal to them, you say that Uniserverism, the only way that your members would see anything happen would be only if Uniserverism were repealed or replaced with Unitopicism, correct?
Sorry, say that one more time.
Would you say that Unitopicism or Uniserverism being repealed or Unitopicism, would you say those are the only options for Arctic Pikes?
Uh, I would say I would say yeah. I would say yeah.
Because, I mean, I don't know if anyone has brought this up in chat yet. Actually, I think they just did. Um, the biggest issue here is that the perspective of a member, right, will always be different from the perspective of a leader.
Hmm.
And
That's correct.
to say the reason I was asking you in particular, what do you think? Why do you feel all these questions? Although you are the representative of Arctic Pikes, the reason I ask you is because you're not just the representative of Arctic Pikes. You are also the leader of Arctic Pikes. So that's one of the biggest reasons why I was asking you in particular, and which is why I'm asking you now. According to you, do you feel that there is absolutely unequivocally zero chance that Arctic Pikes would accept global chat again?
I would not say they would accept, knowing the fact that there is other options.
All right. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. How about this? We'll take this step by step. I think this would be the best compromise for all of us. Because although Uniserverism, especially from a member that has been here for a long time, because other than being leader, I have been member. I know, in my eyes, at least in my opinion, that not having uniserverism would possibly be very dangerous and the repercussions more than what we would like to deal with. But my voice is not the only voice. So, in an effort to try and see how content we would be with each system, I would say forcibly that the first step would be integration with global chat. After all, you said yourself that they would not be totally opposed to it if it were to return with the fixes that it needs. Global chat currently serves a very important part of both Exrovia and Caveton, and Dragon's Den for that matter. All three of us use global chat, we interact with members, we get to know each other, etc. Is it not a full replacement? No, but it is an experience. And one that we get to communicate with each other, which is, I think, the ultimate point. The ultimate point of any of this is to communicate with each other. But ultimately, it's to maintain the activity in our service, which is what we leaders want. We need to compensate for that. We need representatives. Yes, we are the only representatives, unfortunately, because tribunes, well, you didn't want us in a tribune to begin with. But because tribunes aren't a thing right now, the only thing that stands between us, between the community and not a community, is us, the leaders. That's unfortunately the way it is. So I think first we try global chat. Then, if global chat does not work, the unitopicism that I don't know who it was proposed by, I think it was Kuhn, that would enter into debate and possibly into rules if it gets enough votes. In the meantime, we use global chat. If people are still unhappy with unitopicism, then we know that it was not working for the members now. After all, I am speaking from three standpoints, unfortunately, four, technically. I'm speaking as president of the community, the guy that has seen a lot of shit in the past. I'm speaking as Caveton's rep and as Caveton's governor, which puts
Notice,
which puts me in a very difficult position.
I also like to I will point out. Notice how you did not say the member.
Sorry?
Notice when you were listing off the different standpoints that you were talking from, the one that you implied, you did not say the members.
I said representative of Caveton. That
Oh, okay, okay,
that
okay.
means
That
representative.
includes the members.
Yeah,
Okay.
obviously. I'm not. All right, so obviously I care about my members. The members that are in Caveton have been with me through thick and thin for some of them for 5 years, 6 years. So if you're about to claim that I don't care about my members, then I don't know, man.
No, no, no. I'm not saying that.
All right,
I'm
just
not
making
saying.
sure, man, because I was about to freak out on you. All right.
No, no, no.
Uh, Actually, there was a question that was just directed towards me. We'll start taking uh, chat questions again. Frog, can I have another rep for Caveton? My rep right now is Gamerman for reals, but because he's not here, right? He's never here. He should really be replaced, honestly. But can we? I'm gonna be honest with you. That's kind of my thing. I'm not really happy with my rep right now. Um, but
Uh,
yeah, no. Can I have a different rep? Yes, I absolutely can. Um, I can have.
God, it's just like having a rep for Caveton because he already has presidential powers. So we might as well give the representation there to someone else too.
Yeah, no. Like the thing is, Caveton is the weird one out because it has its leader that can't be its rep. That's the weird part about Caveton. But that's a quirk about the community and the rules of the community. I don't even want to talk about that. But there's so many issues with that too. But um, I can have
Anyway,
I can switch out my rep and I can add a tribune to that too. but I can only add a tribune if the majority of other servers also send in tribunes. If that doesn't happen,
I'd be willing to send a tribute.
Uni,
What?
Winnie, would you be willing to send a tribune as well?
yeah.
Can you specify what that exactly means?
Are you serious? Okay.
Yeah, I'm 100% dead ass.
Okay. So, I guess we're gonna go into read the freaking rules of the community.
You know what?
Uh,
You can tell me that afterwards. Ask me that
yeah,
afterwards.
I think
I
that'll
have them.
that'll be a better topics for later. But just so we can get it down for everyone else at home because they don't know what a tribune is.
I'm pretty sure Dragon's Den said that they also wanted to send one. Like they told me in the past, just that no one else wanted to.
Yes. Also, I want to answer Kun's question. Yes. Reps are open to all servers so long as the leader accepts that. Like, if the leader wants reps, then they can appoint reps.
Mm-hmm.
If the leader does not want reps, then they will not.
It's normally when like the leader already has a position in Congress and they want to like give their server their own rep. So it's not like you taking up like two positions for one representative in Congress. Do you know what I mean?
All right. I do see. I just wanna, if you guys want, I guess it can be open time to like just respond to some of the comments that you see here.
What the fuck is this shit? Cunny topicism. Cunny topicism.
I like that.
Oh my
I like
god.
that name.
Cunny top. No, it's
Fun,
so dumb.
fun,
No.
fun fact: Uniserverism is not named after Uni. It's named after the fact that it's one server.
One. Although it might as well be. It's the model that Arctic Pikes
Yeah,
inspired.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're the reason. No,
Yeah.
Tribune. Okay, so yeah, I'll just explain this right away. So
It's honestly kind of crazy. Like, Uni was the reason for Uniserverism's existence, and now he's the main one arguing against
okay,
it.
so
That's crazy.
let's just focus on the topic because a lot of people don't know what a tribune is. Okay, so I guess just a quick overview of how everything works because no one knows how anything works, so this is as good a time as any. Just kind of quickly explain how everything works. This should have really been done in the beginning, but I honestly thought people knew a little more than that. So
Yeah.
tells me what I know, right? Anyway, so um, okay, so for all of you in the chat that don't understand how any of this is supposed to work, the way it works is this. There is a document that I posted called the Rules of the Community that outlines how the community should work. From that, we have three groups: the presidency, the Congress, and the EJ. The Congress is your leader, right? All your leaders, whether you be from Extrovia, Caveton, Arctic Pikes, blah, 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 they're all there. The Congress has the option to be divided into two. It can be the governors and the tribunes, which are normal people that are either elected or not. That's up to the leader again from the server. Okay, so basically the server can choose two people or one person. I think it's two people to be sent to the Congress, and they can act as like a lower house, kind of like House of Reps, House of Senate, similar thing. But if no one sends, if the majority of Congress does not send a tribune, it just doesn't happen because then it would be unfair. Uh, because then people would have extra votes and some voices might not be heard. So then the next one is the EJ. Those are the jurors. Uh, what do you? When you
The funny thing about that is that Exrovia itself isn't 6 months old, so like the majority of the members can't join that yet.
either way, the EJ is the body of the community that makes sure that the members are actually being heard in terms of votes and such. So basically, if an issue gets out of hand in a server and the server leader can't do anything about it, EJ intervenes. If there is an election, like a presidential or governorship election going along, EJ is supposed to be there. So EJ is kind of like the guys that are supposed to kind of just moderate that part of it. And the presidency is me, the secretary, who is Uni, and the defense group should it be necessary. Defense group, I'm pretty sure you guys can figure out, is in case there's something that happens. Um, so member ambassadors, nice one. That's tribunes technically. That's what they do. Um, so that's essentially the whole system, and then every server from that, every governor owns a server, and every server has its own way of running things. In Caveton, for instance, we elect our mods and we elect our staff. That's the way we do things. In Exrovia, it's slightly different. They don't agree with the model. That's okay. And Arctic Pikes, they do it differently. And every other server, they do it differently. And in theory, every server has their own way to elect their tribunes, right? Or their governor. That's depending on, how that server in particular is run. So yeah, that's more or less a quick rundown on the community. And just so you guys understand, like, what the heck is a tribune, what the heck is a governor, what the heck am I talking about? Okay, so let's actually go back to the questions of the chat. La 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 la. Procrastinating person says, and you know what? Opening servers to each other could produce a spike in activity. I know some people lurk because they have hobbies, because their hobbies aren't spoken about as much, but other member servers could fulfill. That is actually very, very true. When we did have uh, when we didn't have Uniserverism, whenever a new server joined the community, there was a spike in activity in that server. That is absolutely true, mind you. Um, the issue came along after the fact, right? The fact of the matter is, at some point, we'll become so mixed up. And this is what happened back then. Not necessarily what could happen now, but that's what happened back then. We could get so mixed up. We got so mixed up, right, that every member in those servers were the same people. The leaders were different, but the server was essentially the same. Kind of how it is now. Arctic Pikes' model is essentially the same as Caveton's model, and that's essentially the same as Exrovia's model, because we're all part of the same community. So members just spoke in the server that appealed to them most. And then when activity goes down, whether it because of school or because of whatever, we don't have unique members in each server that will begin to talk and boost that server's activity. This is usually compensated for in normal servers without the union involved, like I said, because community servers in particular, compete with each other. So usually new members would come in to fill the gap, and that's what would happen here. But again, it's always a huge issue when you have the same members who are supposedly the best members, because then what happened in back then was the staff collapse, right? So we had the same members that were staffing multiple servers. Because of a personal issue or because they were more focused on one particular server, they couldn't fulfill the duties, but then every other member was mixed up, so every other member belonged to every other server, and you can kind of see where this is going, right? There were no original members between the servers because we were all bunched up and mixed up together. So that was the biggest issue then. Does that mean that will happen now? No, just saying that that's what happened.
I think we should wrap this up.
Yeah, that was a hefty topic. Let's see how long we've been going for. Holy crap, 2 hours and about 2:30, 2 hours and 30. So yeah, okay. Um,
Yep.
I think we've kind of reached the end of the rope here. We're kind of at a deadlock at the point. I mean, we really can't go much farther than that. I guess what I will do in the meantime, while the debate is going on in Congress, I guess I can go to every server individually and have a small debate among the members there, because after all, it's a little bit uncomfortable to just kind of be in a chat separate. After all, I think I really should do a round of the community and kind of ask members questions there. I should really, as a president, I think I should do more of that. I've just been so busy with Caveton, honestly.
Yeah, freaking Xrovia, I bet you don't even know like half the new members there.
That's true. So we're gonna wrap this up. Do any of you have any closing remarks on uniserverism or any of the topics we've discussed today?
No, I think that's good. I think that's good. I think we got everything on.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, if that's the case, I think we'll talk more about this. I'll talk more about this with members that want this in individual servers. I think it's only fair that I start off in Arctic Pikes, um, and just go ahead and talk it over with you guys. And I guess we can have a second one of this in the future, and we can see, if global chat was accepted. If not, what can we do better? What can we do worse? Uh, you know, and hopefully, Uni, this time we can get your members involved in the members or the community messages, which I think your members have missed out on a couple of those since that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, thank you, seriously, thank you, all of you for participating and getting involved, even if we don't agree. I think it's very, very healthy for us to see each other's opinions. No matter your opinion on myself, or on Uni, or on Edward, or on anyone else, I think it's super, super important that we just get to talk. I think that's one thing we haven't really done in a while, so I think that's good. That's good. So
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. Both of you, the ones that could make it, thank you so, so much for participating in this. Super important. And yeah, okay.
All right. See you guys. See you guys.
Yeah, peace out, guys.
Peace out.
All right.